All right. Yeah. So last night I was having this thought around the concept of uh, this Earth, this reality being a simulation, and I was thinking upon death. And before I went to sleep, I just had this little like stream of consciousness, and I wrote it down, and I just wanted to read it and then elaborate on it and talk about it. All right. So think about this: when you die, you drop your body. Your consciousness leaves the body and this reality, and your body stays behind in this reality. This is evidence that we live in a simulation, that we leave our avatar behind when we die. If we take this thinking into how we live our lives, it is very liberating, and you begin to give less fucks about all the drama that goes on in the world, about all the fucks given that are totally a waste of your energy, and you can use this awareness to direct your energy and attention back to what is important. Having fun, doing what lights you up, living your purpose, and following what charms you, and connecting with others and sharing. So, yeah, so the thought of when you die, your consciousness like leaves the body and your physical, like your flesh, stays here. Isn't that evidence that we are existing in a simulation, that our consciousness has left this reality, but our body stays behind? And if you've watched the movie The Matrix, I feel like it's kind of like that kind of mentality of you're in this simulation that feels so real. It feels so real. But it's once you pull your consciousness out of that reality and you look back into it, you then can see that it's not. And I feel like using that analogy of like our awareness, like when you look at something, when you're making a judgment or a perception, when you're perceiving something, it feels like that is the total truth of it. But you're just viewing it from one perspective. You're just looking at it from your perspective. And I think that's why there are so many of us in this reality, in this simulation, because if we have that mentality of like universal consciousness or like unity, like consciousness is one, how can consciousness, how can you perceive yourself? It's like you look at yourself like down, and it's like that's one perspective, but it takes someone else to look at you to actually see you. Like you have to look in a mirror to see what you look like. I can't see what I look like unless there's a reflection of me. And that's why there are um, so many other people in this reality, so many other consciousnesses in this reality, because we require, like, consciousness as a whole, as one, needs a reflection to perceive itself. Like, how can you perceive yourself without a mirror? How can you see yourself like totally? I can't see myself, like, only you can perceive me. So we require others to be mirrors so that we can perceive ourselves, so that we can have different perspectives of reality, of this simulation. And through that, consciousness as a whole, as a unified whole, can then see all the possibilities of everything. It can see itself through various perspectives, because as one, it needs a reflection. So that's why there are so many of us, if that makes sense. We are all just mirrors reflecting different perspectives back to each other to then get an understanding of what reality is. But yeah, I feel like that's a whole other topic as well. But yeah, it's like if we're living in this simulation, then yeah, it comes back also, I think, to that concept of space time. Donald Hoffman, if you've listened to any of his stuff, talks about this. Of they've proven that space time is not fundamental to this reality, or like things exist beyond space and time. And that is just part of this simulation. So our consciousness exists outside of space-time, and we're plugged into this avatar, this suit, this view. We're plugged in here, experiencing space and time, but we exist beyond that. Like when we die, we come out of space-time and we see what was. We are able to witness what we just experienced in this simulation, in this reality we call life, we call Earth. Um, so yeah, so yeah. I think it's this kind of thinking is very liberating, because you realize nothing actually really matters. Like, where am I worrying about things too much? Where am I getting swept up in things outside of my control? Where am I giving away my energy to things that don't serve me? And how can I, with this new perspective of we're just existing in a simulation and nothing is real, where can I then direct my energy? What is important to me? What do I really care about? And I wrote a few things down, like, how can I have more fun? How can I bring in more fun, more play into my life? How can I really listen to what lights me up, what charms me, what I'm curious about, and following that more? Yeah, so I guess that's related to like purpose, and then connecting with others. How can I just be more open and more vulnerable and more myself, and just have fun? Like, nothing is serious in this reality. We exist beyond it, but we're just perceiving each other as an avatar in a body in this simulation. So it should all just be like play. It should all just be fun. And when we get caught up in worry or seriousness or trying to be an adult, can we notice that and then come back to play and come back to our nature, our true nature, and have more fun? I think this kind of thinking is very liberating. And yeah, I already notice myself reminding myself of this sort of mentality of, like, when I'm getting in my head or having a negative thought, it's like, wait a minute, I'm just in a simulation. None of this is real. Why am I worrying? Why am I stressing? How can I have more fun? And how can I bring that in, cultivate that in my life more? So yeah, I don't know if this resonates with anyone. I'm sure some parts will, but yeah, if you have anything to say, let me know what you think.